taught people the laws and stuff like that, but they were hard-pressed people. Let's go into the next group called the Sadducees. Sadducees.
Sadducees.
Or Sadducees, yeah.
All right. The Sadducees, according to Zondervan Bible Dictionary, one of the religious parties that existed among the Jews in the days of Yashiya, our Messiah, and the early church, but exercised comparatively little influence among the people. So they didn't really influence the people. They pretty much were convinced of themselves, and, that's pretty much how that went. They resisted the truth of the gospel. The root of the word means to be righteous. So here we have the Sadducees, and you can equate them and know who they are by recognizing self-righteousness. I'm pretty certain there's another reference in Scripture where Yashiya, calls them out on it. Mm-hmm. And so probably the name is derived from someone named Zadok. Now, Zadok is Hebrew for righteous. Hebrew for righteous. Mm-hmm.
So this was a certain set during Christ's time on the earth. They said that they were the righteous people. Okay? All right? And we have that today. In my lifetime growing up, I've been to many churches. I went under many faiths. One of the most prominent faiths that walked in holiness and claimed to be righteous was under the apostolic faith. Mm-hmm. All right? There was a sanctified, if our brothers and sisters are familiar with that, it's called a sanctified church. Mm-hmm. And they would claim to be the righteous, the pure, the holiness of God. But it was a church, through my experience, that was filled with a lot of so-called spirits. You will have people laying hands on people. You will have people so-called speaking in tongues. But there was really no doctrinal truth concerning the law. Okay? Yeah, people know not to steal, not to kill, and all that, but there was still no doctrine proof, no everyday teaching on the law. There was church on Sunday, but it's not doctrinal. Okay? There was baptism in the church, but there was other things that was clearly shown in Scripture that we should keep, and we didn't keep. So there was no truth. The only truth is the Word of God as it is written. Okay? Keep going, sis. I'm sorry. You got anything else on the chart?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. So the Sadducees were known to be, they were the political party of the Jewish aristocratic priesthood.
So they were a political party, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so they influenced the people politically, right? Mm-hmm. Okay.
And from the time of the Maccabees to the final fall of the Jewish state, they became leaders in the Hellenizing movement that began with Alexander the Great.
Mm-hmm. Now, brothers, so let's bring this back home. Remember now, this knowledge, this history of the Sadducees is revealed in the Bible dictionary. It said, what period, sister?
So they became leaders in the Hellenizing movement that began with Alexander the Great.
Okay. And it mentioned what time? Who was it? The people with the M?
The time of the Maccabees.
The time of the Maccabees. Where do we get knowledge and wisdom about what happened around the time of the Maccabees?
Now, Daisy, if you're on there, you know good and well you need to say it's the Apocrypha.
The Apocrypha. So we can go into the Apocrypha and show you some of the Hellenistic things they were doing during the times of the Maccabees. Mm-hmm. Okay? But we want to say that for another day. But we got information about the Maccabees. That's why we encourage the children of Israel, the tribe of Judah, all the 12 tribes, to seek and get your documents, get your King James Bible, get your Apocrypha, get your book of Jasper, get the book of Jubilee, get the book of Enoch. Those books are referenced here. So go right ahead so you can keep on reading.
All right. So another highlight I wanted to bring out with them, keeping in contact with still Revelation. We don't want to forget what we opened with when we're dealing with these sects, because this is something that Yashiya is showing us. And we really need to be careful in watching it, because the adversary is subtle. Mm-hmm. He will slide things in on you, and you won't even be privy to it, believing everything to be, kosher, as they say. Mm-hmm. So the Sadducees were under the Romans, became the party favorable in the government. So when we hear them saying that Sadducees became favorable in the government, we recognize the first reference was that the Sadducees is a political party. Mm-hmm. They're a political party, and they are Jews. Mm-hmm. So these are two characteristics that we know. But now we have a third one, mm-hmm. that they became favorable mm-hmm. in the government. What government? The Roman government. Mm-hmm. So we have, and what are we looking at when we see this? So we recognize the Nicolaitans. Mm-hmm. We'll find the connection soon. Mm-hmm. We recognize, and we want to keep ever before us, that we talked about the Nicolaitans. That was one of the things that Yashiya stated to John in his writings, mm-hmm. that when he's addressing the churches, that he wants to watch. Mm-hmm. We have to overcome. And we'll get back to Revelation. But it's key that the Sadducees was a political party. Mm-hmm. I don't even understand how the two go together, but they were a political party, and they were favorable and thought very highly in the Roman government. So that means they had a high place, and they were Jewish. They understood the law, but they were self-righteous. Okay,
they were self-righteous. And then when you go back into the dictionary, right, sister, it does say they did what around what time, the Hellenistic time?
They became leaders.
Leaders around the Hellenistic
That's
time.
Very important, too. That's right.
Okay, so right now, let's bring that back to today. We have so-called two major political parties, right? Mm-hmm. We have the Republicans and we have the Democrats. Mm-hmm. The Democrats has always leaned towards libertarian, okay? Liberty to do whatever you want to. Mm-hmm. The Republicans have leaned to strictness, more of a law, strict law side, right? Mm-hmm. So we can say that the Sadducees were more of maybe of libertarian people because they introduced Hellenistic ways amongst our people. The Democrats today, they introduced Hellenistic ways amongst our people. Yeah, we're going to legalize gay marriage. Right. We're going to legalize this and this and this and that. Mm-hmm. A lot of things they do, it brings down the moral structure of what the words say. It comes against the word. So this is why Christ says in the book of Revelations, and he goes back into verse 6, but this thou hast, that thou hatest the deeds of the Nicolaitans, which I also hate. Verse 6, chapter 2. Mm-hmm.
Of Revelation.
The Most High hates the deeds of people when it comes against his word. He hates that. That's sin. All right? You are going to give a license to sin amongst my people, and my word strictly forbids it. He hates that. Okay? So it's better to be obedient to God, brothers and sisters, than it is to man. Anything that's coming against what God say is evil. If God say worship on the Sabbath and you worship on the Sunday by man's authority, he hates that. That's disobedience. All right, so we went through the Sadducees. We went through the Pharisees. Now, Christ did deal with another set that was up. That was, go ahead. It was 5 sects. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Pharisees, Sadducees, Essenes, Nazarenes, and Zealots.
Nazarenes and Zealots. So even today, as we look around and this truth is being revealed to our people, we know that we have different camps that are awakened, but there's only one truth, okay? There's only one truth, and the Most High is revealing that truth unto us, but it's different camps that do different things here on this planet. And that has not changed. That was the same thing going on when Christ walked the earth. Let's look at the Essenes. Let's look at what the Essenes. Who are they?
Okay. All right. The Essenes, according to the Zondervan Bible Dictionary, is a sect of reportedly 4,000 Jews also in Palestine during the time of Yashiya, but not mentioned in the New Testament. The Essenes lived a simple life of sharing everything in common. They practiced strict rules of conduct and were mostly unmarried. The majority of them lived together in settlements, but some resided in cities. Apparently, they kept their ranks filled by the adoption of other people's children. They did not participate in the temple worship, but had their own purification rites. They observed the Sabbath day very strictly and greatly venerated Moses. They would take no oath, as it is stated in Leviticus, and we'll go through that in another teaching later, but new members, after going through a 3-year probationary period, were required to swear a series of strong oaths that they would cooperate in every way with the organization and would never reveal the outsiders any of the affairs or beliefs of the sect. Now see.
Okay, so right there, we know that these Essene people were a people of strict holiness. They didn't even partake in the standard everyday temple worship. They had their own worship. Okay, they lived amongst themselves, and a lot of them didn't even take wives. But Christ dealt with them. He reads it.
Okay. The Dead Sea Scrolls and the monastery called Kirbet Quran, where the scrolls were written, give evidence of an organization very similar to what is known about the Essenes. The structure was occupied from the end of the 2nd century BC to AD 135, the Essenes period of prominence. So that was their period of prominence as far as that's all I have.
Okay, so the Essenes were a particular group, not mentioned in the New Testament, but we do have record of Christ giving Essenes documents to hold and to fill up. And it's mentioned in the Apocrypha. And that's where we get our 70 extra verses called the Apocrypha that was taken out by the Protestant church.
70 verses?
Yeah, the 70 chapters. Yep, 70 chapters. Okay? And he gave that unto them. So what's the next sect, sister?
The Nazarenes.
The Nazarenes. Now, we can go back into the Old Testament and learn about the doctrine or the creed of the Nazarenes, but she's going to come out the Bible dictionary about them.
All right.
Okay, so.
All right. And the Nazarenes, a word derived from Nazareth, the birthplace of Yashiya, our Messiah, was often called a Nazarene, used by his friends. It had a friendly meaning, according to Acts chapter 2, verse 22, Acts chapter 3, verse 6, and Acts chapter 10, verse 38. Used by his enemies, it was a title of scorn.
Okay, so they would use that to scorn him, like call him a what, Nazarite?
Right.
Okay.
Could anything good come out of Nazareth?
Go,
Matthew chapter 26, verse 71.
Let's go there. Matthew chapter 26?
Yeah, verse 71.
Okay.
And then we have Mark chapter 14, verse 67. And that's how they use it to scorn.
So Matthew 26?
Yeah, 26. In verse 71. And then we have Mark chapter 14, verse 67.
Okay.
All right.
Now, this is the time here in the end of Matthew chapter 26 when they try to identify who Peter was. But, go read that.
Okay. So we are Matthew chapter 26, verse 71.